Going to be demonstrating how to use GeoGebra's and the transformation tools which are up here. Alright, I'm going to just click and look at them. Reflect about a line, reflect about a point, rotate around a point, and dilate from a point. And we're also going to do a translation by doing a copy and drag, basically. Alright, so back to my arrow tool, I'm going over to the polygon tool, pick polygon, and just putting a shape on the screen. And basically now I can go back to my arrow tool, select the shape. You see it's highlighted, that's why I know I selected it, and I can go edit, copy unless you know a keyboard shortcut, and then go edit, paste. It put one, and it's kind of on top of it initially, but it didn't set it at a location yet. So you can go left, right, up, down, diagonal. Notice the shape though. It stays exactly the same size. Relative positions, A was to the left, A's image is to the left, B was towards the top. Set it down there. B was at the top of the original, and B's image is at the top of it as well. D was at the bottom. D1 was at the bottom. Alright. So let's just delete all that and start with another shape. Alright. We're going to look at a reflection in a line. So I'm going to move my grid a little bit and go into the graphics drop down right here. Put some grid lines on it. And again, I'm just going to pick the polygon tool and put a shape. I'm going to try to click on intersection points so that my points over here in the algebra window are nice integer values. First I'm going to reflect in the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis. I go to my tool, reflect about a line. I click in the center of my first polygon. I click when I get to it saying it's the x-axis, and there's my shape. Now going back to the arrow tool to explore this a little bit, if I bring this down closer, the image moves closer to that x-axis line. D was 1 unit above, now it's 1 unit below. C was 2 units above, now it's 2 units below. Alright, and I don't have to keep these locked in at grid intersections. Alright, so I could go up here to C and drag C. And if I move this below, its image comes above the x-axis. Alright, also I'm going to just emphasize point C. Over here on the left, C was -3, 4. When I reflected in the x-axis, the x value stays the same. The y value changes to the opposite sign. Alright, now let's reflect the same object through the y-axis. Reflect through a line. Click my object. Hover till I get the y-axis. And now I have a reflection through the y-axis. Again, if we look over here from the original and the image, it was -3 in the original to a 4, and now the difference is the x value stayed the same, and the y value stayed the same, and the x value changed to the opposite sign. All right. I'm just going to quickly put a general line over here and reflect it through just any old line. So back to my reflection and line tool, object, line. And now in addition to me creating variations by moving the original, if I move my line, that changes where the reflection through just a general line is. File new, and let's now reflect in a point. So let's start with a point. Let's start with another special point. I'm going down to my input and I'm going to put in parentheses 0, 0 so that I get a point right on the origin. I'm going to just move this a little bit. Alright. And now I'm going to create a shape, polygon. And this time I'm going to create it down here. And now I'm going to pick my reflect through a point tool. And I select my object by clicking in the middle of it. I'm going to select the origin. Alright. And now just going back to my arrow tool, get A out of the road there. It's just some general point. But let's look at what happens to D versus D prime. D versus D prime over here, you see what's happening. D, the original was -5, -4, and it changed signs for both the X and the Y value when we reflected it through the origin. Alright, let's just move my whole shape and see if that changes. Okay, so now D was -5.76. It's now +5.76. It was 1.78. Now it's -1.78. And going back to my arrow tool and dragging A up here, I just want to reflect it through a general point. So I click on the center of my object. First I have the reflect tool, center of my object, and now in addition to it being adjusted by movements of the original, that one's also being adjusted by movements of the reflection point. New, don't save. I'm just a general polygon and just a general point. And let's rotate that around that point. Pick my object, pick my point, and let's go clockwise, and let's go 75 degrees. All right, now I have the points located. It's a little bit easier for us to talk about this. I'm going to put a segment from D to F and from the image of D to F, and I'm going to measure this angle in here. All right, so I go to my angle measurement tool. I select the leg point, the vertex of the angle, another leg point, and you can see that that's 75 degrees. All right, so it rotated, every point gets rotated 75 degrees to its new location. All right. Going to look at the same object. I'm just going to move it and I'm going to pick a dilation. All right, I'm going to use the same point F. All right, so just leave that angle there, and I'm going to say let's dilate from a point. So I'm picking picking the object, the original object, picking my point F again, and this time I'm going to put a factor of 0.5 in. And what happens is, if you look at this, all right, I'm going to show the grid, back to my arrow tool, show the grid, I'm going to put some points on intersection points, and I'm going to show some measurements. All right, so I'm going to show the measurements of A to B in the original. It's 6, and notice from the image of A to the, just have drag those where you can see them, the image of A to B is exactly half, because that's the factor we put in. The other place it's exactly half is if you go from my point B to the point of dilation, the location of B prime is exactly half of the distance of that segment. All right. So there you have it, using GeoGebra to do transformations. The whole idea here is to play with it, explore it. Can't go wrong. And if you have something you don't like, you just go File, New, Don't Save. All right, have a good one.